Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney, and before we get into today's video, I filmed this earlier so I could send the dress off to my mom in time for this event she went to. So, and I didn't have the Feature Friday pattern yet. So I just wanted to come on here real quick before we get into the meat and potatoes of the video and tell you that today's Love Notion Feature Friday pattern is the ballad blouse, and it is $5 today only. This is such a wonderful, just button up the front blouse. It comes with either shirring that you can do here at the yoke or gathering. I've only made it with the shirring, but I would really like to make one with the gathering. It's just a really beautiful, easy breezy top. It works great in drapier fabrics, such as your chalets and your crepes and things like that. So wonderful. I've made one. It is fabulous. Love it. It will be coming back out for my summer wardrobe as things start to warm up around here, maybe. Please warm up. But again, it is $5 today only, and if you would like to get another 10% off that sale price, you can use code TOM10 at checkout, and that will get you an additional 10% off that pattern. So yeah, definitely one to add to your library if you don't already have that one in there, especially for this price. Okay, let's get into the regular part of this video. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney, and today we've got another Sew the Look. Okay, this is a special Sew the Look, and we will get into that in just a minute, but before we get any further, I am filming this quite a bit ahead of when you are watching it because I have to ship this dress off to my mother for her then to try it on to get the pictures and twirls that you are seeing. So hopefully by the time you're watching this, I have already solved the issue of sound and some interest here on the wall behind me, but yeah, that's the hope. But if you're wondering like, oh my gosh, why did she go backwards? That's why. I'm filming this ahead of time. I'm waiting on some decorative acoustic tiling that's going to go on the back wall, so hopefully by the time you're watching this video, you've already seen that. So going forward in time and then back in time. But yes, I just wanted to explain that. So as I'm filming this, I am still in the process of figuring out my sound. So bear with me. If I have figured it out and now you're wondering why I've gone backwards, that is why I'm filming this ahead of time. Okay, today we have a very exciting Sew the Look. Now, I realize that the Sew the Look is a little more wintry and we are going into spring, but I just couldn't help myself, and I'll explain just a little bit here in just a second, but this is something that I've made for my dear, dear mother. If you've been following along on the channel, you know that my mother is currently in a battle with a type of ovarian cancer. So yes, so this was something that I wanted to do for her. It's my way of showing love. You know, you've got some people that show love by bringing meals over, or, you know, there's just different ways to show love. Well, while my sister loves to cook and make meals and invite my parents over for dinners and all that kind of thing, my sister also lives 5 minutes away from my parents. I live 500 miles, but this is my way of showing love. And they were out visiting in the middle of February for my birthday, and also it was in between her chemo appointments, and right at the end, right before she has a next chemo appointment, she's usually feeling really pretty good. So she wanted to get out of the house. They normally are in Florida this time of year, but not so this year. Number one, their place was the place where they rent was decimated by Hurricane Ian, but also she wouldn't have been able to travel anyway, just with her treatments. So she was getting some wanderlust, wanted to get out and do a little bit of traveling, so they came out to visit us, which was wonderful time and a wonderful visit. And it also coincided with my birthday. So we were, the one day they were here and my kids were in school, we decided to go over to the mall just because my husband works from home some of the days, just to get out of the house and also just kind of see what stuff was out there. So while we were there, my mom had mentioned that she had seen in Real Simple magazine, they had done a whole spread on midi dresses. And she's like, I just feel like a dark floral midi dress would be so great for church with, you know, her black boots, and, you know, she could wear a jean jacket over it, or she could wear a sweater over it, or a little jacket. And then, you know, as, you know, the seasons changed a little bit, you know, she could bring it back out again when the fall comes. So my mom is she's a calm summer. She's the same as Ava. Yes. Get everyone confused. She's also a summer. And so muted colors are great on her. And she's on the cooler palette. I had purchased this fabric. This is a CU at 6, a beautiful CU at 6 fabric, thinking that the background was navy and that the colors were warmer than they are. And they're a little bit warm, but when it got here, I realized that the background was actually, I think the name was Graph. I should have known better, but you know, we live and learn. It's actually a charcoal gray background. So I put this fabric aside because the print is absolutely stunning. And I was just kind of thinking, a lot of times when I err on fabrics, it can be my daughter can wear them because she is a cool color palette, or my mom or sister. They're both, all three of them are summers. So I think my dad he's never had his colors done, but I'm pretty sure I get my warmth from him. So I think he's a spring probably as well. But anyway, and I look more like my dad. Take a lot after him. But anyway, when we were at Nordstrom, she had said, you know, one of these dresses is at Nordstrom that I saw in this magazine, and we tried to find it and we couldn't find it. It just wasn't there. And it was this dress. It's an ASTR, Aster. I don't know how you pronounce the brand name, but this was the dress that she had seen in Real Simple. And it sold at Nordstrom's, but we could not find it at my local Nordstrom's, as well as you can see on the back, there's a kind of this cutout that's very cool, but she wasn't very keen on that. What she loved about the dress was that she loved the long sleeves, she loved the dark floral, and she also loved the ruching that went along on the front panel. So those were kind of the things that she was looking for, but she just wanted to try the dress on. We couldn't find the dress. And I just started thinking, like, why don't I just make her a dress? I can make you a dress, Mom. Whatever you want, I will make that for you. So we came back to the house. I knew that I had this fabric, and immediately I thought, oh my gosh, this would be perfect because the charcoal gray is a color that she can wear. It's one of her better neutrals, as well as it'll be fabulous with her black boots, which she's kind of wanting, and it would look good with the jean jacket. And then the colors that are in here, kind of the dustier colors, while some of them are a little bit warmer, there is a little bit of like a dusty aqua that's in here, as well as a little bit of a dusty pale blue, and then the kind of dustier pinks that are in here, which are all she can wear. So I pulled it out of the stash and showed it to her, and she's like, oh, that's a gorgeous fabric. And then I happened to be my intern. We call her the unpaid intern. It's actually Jenny's daughter. She does a lot of work for me. She's not actually unpaid. I do pay her when she does a little bit of things, but she is starting to sew. And so anyway, she happened to be over at the house going through some of my stash and looking for something for a project she was wanting to do. And then we were also going through just some of the patterns that I just had kind of sitting out. And I came across this butter egg pattern, and I can't remember the name. So I'm just going to pop it up here. And when I just hadn't had a chance to put it away into my stash quite yet. And I bought this quite a while ago, but I was looking at it as I was flipping through. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the dress. This is very similar to the dress that my mom was eyeing with a few differences. So I pulled the pattern, pulled the fabric, went upstairs, showed my mom, and she was like, yeah, I think that could really work. So we have recreated the ASTR dress in more appropriate colors for her, as well as some stylistic choices that she really preferred. So let's talk about the dress a little bit and kind of how we recreated this ASTR dress. This is one of my favorite things to do. I love recreating, doing Sew the Look videos, so hopefully you really enjoy watching them. But one of the things about the ASTR dress, other than the cutout in the back that she wasn't super, like a big fan of, is that it has a very high neck. My mom is, we are built proportionately very similar. I have a much larger bust than she does. And I have a shorter torso a little bit, but other than that, we are proportionally very similar, aside from the large bust. So both of us enjoy more of an open neckline. Neither of us think that we look good with closed necklines. And obviously this ASTR dress does have a closed neckline. So one thing we wanted to get away from was that. The butter egg dress has a V neckline, so that was absolutely perfect and fits her body and just opens her up through here just so beautifully. The thing that we did love, though, about the dress is this ruching effect. So the dress actually has, and I'll untie it and show you, we have a seam that runs, I'll put the line art of this pattern. It's going to be hard to see in here. In fact, let's come up closer to the cameras. We can kind of see a little bit. And let me adjust my lights so that I'm now standing in the Professional channel, folks. Okay, so it has a seam that runs here. There's gathering in the bust. It is a fully lined bodice, but not the rest of the dress. And then it's kind of this panel here where it's a little bit more fitted. And then you've got a seam here that then has a flounce, basically, that is sewn to the bottom. So there is a casing. I'll take the dress off here in just a second and show you the inside. But there is a casing that gets sewn into it, and these drawstrings get sewn. So when it hangs completely free, you can see that the dress, the flounce hangs even. But what I think is really cool about this dress, and this is what reminded me of the inspiration dress, is that when you pull these ties up, you create ruching from like here all the way up here. So this whole midsection area, I mean, ruching is just very flattering, obviously, for camouflaging anything that you kind of want camouflaged. And it creates a diagonal line, which a diagonal line, anytime you cut something, you know, right off at a line, you're separating that thing, that whatever you're looking at, whether it be a body or artwork or whatever. But when you add a little bit of a diagonal that the eye has to can flow along instead of getting stopped at a line, it's just more flattering. So we liked a few things. Number one, you've got the ruching, so it gives a little asymmetry, does a little bit of camouflage here, but then it raises the skirt up, which I thought gives a little bit of a flamenco effect, you know? It looks a little bit like flamenco dancers. I don't know, it gives me that vibe. My mother's sister-in-law, so they're divorced now, but my uncle's ex-wife is Spanish, and I remember growing up, she was a flamenco dancer, and you know, she's from Madrid, and when she moved here, she still did a lot of dancing and stuff with the flamenco style, and I remember being infatuated with those dresses and those costumes, like the whole get-up that they would wear to do the flamenco dancing. I just remember being in awe of her. She also had really, really long dark hair. I was in awe of my Aunt Betty for many, many, many years. I'm still in awe of her. We still chat. So anyway, it gave me a reminder of that. And then we went with the sleeve view. I did make one change, and I'll talk about sizing here in just a second. We did the fuller sleeve because she wanted the long sleeved. I have put on these beautiful buttons for my stash. Let me show you up close a little bit. These beautiful cuff buttons. So it's a 2 cuff. These are vintage that I just had in my stash. Little buttons here on the sleeve. Now, I did do one thing different with the sleeve. I added a continuous lap placket into the sleeve. The way they wanted you to finish off the cuff of this sleeve was really weird, and I felt like it would be so unstable. So if I can unbutton this, I will show you. So I just added in my own continuous lap placket. I don't know why. It's like patterns, the big 4 patterns go out of their way to not have to do a sleeve placket for these big sleeves. And I don't, you know, they try and put them in the seams and all sorts of stuff. So it's so much easier and so much more professional looking and so much more stable to do it that way. So continuous lap placket in there, these nice big cuffs. Just a really beautiful dress. Now, when I was selecting sizes for my mom on this, she was actually, well, if you looked at the size chart, she fell into a 14. But I was looking at the finished measurements, and there's just too much ease. So she was between the finished measurements, she was kind of in between, she was in between a 12 and a 14. So I was trying to decide, you know, what she would be comfortable with, and, you know, I had to make some snap decisions because they had left by this time. But what I decided, I like at least 2 inches of ease at the bust, at least an inch of ease at the stomach, depending on the style, maybe a little bit more, and about 2 inches of ease at the hip. So what I ended up, would have put me right in between. There was like a 2-inch difference between all of the sizes from a 14 to a 12. So what I decided to do was I made the size 12, and then I just sewed my side seams. I guess it was just my side seams. I sewed my side seams and then my underarm and sleeve seam, just to make it easy, at 3/8 of an inch instead of 5/8 of an inch, which gave me an extra inch at the bust, at the waist, and at the hip, which then put me exactly where I wanted to be in between those sides, and that worked fine. Center back seam, I sewed that at a 5/8 inch seam allowance because the zipper went in. So there is an invisible zipper that goes along center back here that's really beautiful. and it just up here, there's not a seam here in the flounce, but the seam does go through this skirted portion here. And then again, the bodice is fully lined. So let me show you the inside real quick. Need to have this off the mannequin anyway, because I gotta pop this in the mail. Okay, so I had some lining from my stash that's kind of that grayed out aqua that goes really well with the flowers in here. So that's what I used for the bodice. And it's just the bodice that gets lined. And then for the casing, you needed 1 inch single fold bias tape. So that means it would be 1 inch wide and then folded in on itself. Or 1/2 inch double folded, because then you would just flatten it out. And the only 1 inch I had in my stash was this cotton lawn from when I made my Coda jacket, my Lone Oceans Coda jacket. And I'm like, you can't see it on the right side. So I just went ahead. I'm like, that's kind of a fun pop of color. But that gets sewn into that skirt panel, and then your drawstrings get attached here at the top seam. And then there's a buttonhole on the right side where they pop out. So there's a buttonhole, sorry, it's kind of dark. There's a buttonhole right here where the drawstrings then pop out that allow you to, pull that tighter for the drawstrings. So there we go. Let's see, I shortened the, my mom is taller than I am, but not a ton. She's like 5'4". But I did go ahead and I shortened the sleeves, because sometimes these sleeves get really long, by 1 inch. And I also shortened the bodice by 1 inch, just so we were, everything was, fitting fine. Because again, she's only 5'4", and I know they draft for taller than 5'4" for these patterns, probably 5'6". That seems to be pretty standard. So anyway, I shortened that also by 1 inch, and now she has her dark midi dress that she can wear with her boots and wear that to church and a couple of other events that she's got as well. So there we have it, guys. My first, I've been sewing for others a lot lately, and it's been, I've really been enjoying it. I have a lot more of some stuff I need to make for, a ton of stuff I'm going to be making for my son here soon. I'm waiting for fabric to arrive. And then a few things to make for my daughter. I'm going to do a big, probably March, maybe April, but a big plans video on things that I'm planning on making up for this trip to Italy. So, because we're going to need nice clothes, and then, which the stuff I'm making for my son is all his nice clothes, because we've got 3 parties basically that are happening in Italy for this wedding. So we need 3 different nicer outfits, and as well as there's a reception in Missouri. So much going on with this wedding. A reception in Missouri at the beginning of April. So I've got some stuff to make for that as well. So I'll be doing a big plans on things I'm going to be making myself, my daughter, and my son. I don't know that my husband's getting anything this round. Maybe a shirt. But yeah, I'll be prepared for that. Okay, guys, that's all I have for today. I hope you've enjoyed this Sew the Look as much as I enjoyed sewing the look for my mom and being able to recreate a dress that she loved, that she wasn't, and then tweaking it to make it something she really, really loves when we weren't able to find it for in the shops. Okay, that's all I have for today, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you again next time. Bye!